When I was around 4 years old, I moved into a house in the middle of a park owned by the city that we lived in at the time. The agreement was that we could live in the house for free, all utilities included, other than cable, if we took care of the park. I lived in this house for nearly 9 years, and at first the place was amazing. About 4 years after we moved in though, some shit happened. My great-grandmother was diagnosed with colon cancer, very much developed. There was no way she was going to make it, even if they cut out what they could of the cancer. At the time of this, I was in grade 4 and had gotten pretty into ghosts. So one night in May, I was sleeping. Around this time, my brother was 3 and had somehow managed to get my parents to sleep on the couches in our living room down the hall. They were always up really late watching TV, so I'd have my bedroom door, which was at the other end of the hall, open, so I could see if the TV was on when I woke up. Around 2 or 3 in the morning, I awake, and the first thing I saw was a little girl laying down in the corner of the bedroom near the closet. She looked to be around 7 or 8, with a little white skirt and pigtails. It took me about 2 minutes to register what the hell I was looking at, and it scared the absolute shit out of me. I jumped out of my bed and ran down the hall to tell my parents, and just as I got to the door, she vanished. So I went and told my parents, and they told me that I was dreaming and to go back to bed. I did. I fell asleep pretty quickly, but woke up not 20 minutes later, and when I looked at the door, there she was again. I did the same thing, and she disappeared as soon as I reached the door. After I told my parents that it happened again, they told me to go back to bed. So I did, and somehow managed to sleep without incident. Then about a month after, my great-grandmother passed away from the aforementioned cancer. Fast forward a few weeks after her death, I had gotten into the habit of going into the living room where my parents now slept on an air mattress. Whilst we were trying to sleep, I looked down the hall. I could barely see around the corner from the couch, but I could see a little bit. While I was sitting there, I saw something move and look around the corner. It was a short shape, just barely taller than the other couch that we had, but I saw it staring at me. And if that wasn't enough, it began walking. It walked over around the couch and past me. It was a pure dark shape, no facial features, no clothes, nothing. It was just the shape of a human child, and I swear to God, it looked right at me. And as it walked past the couch I was on, it disappeared. But then more childlike figures began walking past me. At least 10 more of the same ones. After the last one, I had had enough. I was scared shitless. So I got off the couch and crawled over to the air mattress to let my parents know. Whilst doing this though, I looked up at the corner to see a figure looking at me from behind it. It was a lot taller than the others, but the key differences were I could see the outline of curly hair on its head. I could feel whatever it was staring right into me. I began crying hysterically, and when my dad woke up, the figure was gone. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. Since the next day was Saturday, I was able to contemplate the figures that I'd seen. The last figure with curly hair actually began to seem familiar, and then I put it together. The figure I had seen was that of my great-grandmother, It looked exactly like her, from the short, stocky build to the curly hair. And as for the kids, it took me a bit longer. If you want to learn about the park is Merkley Park. There's a high school there, right next to the park. And around 1890, it had been an elementary school, which ended up burning down. A few kids did die in the fire, and that's where I realized where the figures came from. Once I moved, the scariest thing to happen was a few nights after we moved in. I woke up because something had slapped me in the face. No one was in my room when I looked, and I still cannot explain it.